to meet you and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Tala. It's a pleasure.
Salam, obviously we're here today to talk about the REACH campaign, and with a few days left till we close the campaign, until we celebrate UAE National Day and the 50th and the Golden Jubilee of the UAE. Thank you for being with us to talk about this important cause, but also we would love to hear about the great work that you're doing with a SMALLWORLD Foundation. So thanks again for being with us.
Thank you, Tala, and I'm very happy to be with you today. This cause is very close to my heart because everything is about humanity, and transforming lives is a great deal, especially nowadays and what we're going through. I'm Salam Hamzeh Ghaith. I'm the president and founder of the SMALLWORLD Foundation. SMALLWORLD has been launched in 2011. We have focused on supporting children, especially in the area of education. If you ask me why children, I'll tell you because children have no voice and we have to be their voice. If you ask me about education, I'll tell you it's the only thing that you can give to a child that no one can ever take away. It's amazing how resilient children can be. We have so many stories of hope, and we've reached children worldwide. We have Lucy from Mexico, who's a little girl that used to pick up trash to support her mother. And when SMALLWORLD supported her to go to school, she was asked what she'd want to be. And she said she dreamed to be a doctor, to support others. It's amazing how resilient children are, sometimes even more than adults. They just need the right support and some help, and they can change their whole life. So what we do is amazing, and I'm so glad to be in this beautiful awareness campaign that you're doing that's going to change so many people's lives.
Thank you, Salam. And the story of Lucille is absolutely touching, and the work that you do with communities around the world to further education for children is very inspiring. For the REACH campaign, many people may know this, but for those who don't, the REACH campaign was meant to end 2 specific neglected tropical diseases. And the reason that we focused on these diseases is because they have been neglected for so long. Many of us in the developed world don't suffer from these types of diseases because they're mostly found in impoverished communities, in countries that sometimes lack good sanitation facilities and just resilient healthcare systems. And so through the work of the REACH campaign, we are trying to end river blindness and lymphatic filariasis. For those who don't know, river blindness is the second leading cause of preventable blindness globally after trachoma. And lymphatic filariasis is a debilitating disease that causes disfigurement in the limbs and really causes people to live a very unfortunate life. You know, Salam, you mentioned how important education is to families and to really picking up people out of poverty. Unfortunately, when families are affected by these diseases and neglected tropical diseases that we address through our campaign, many children have to leave school to support their families, and especially family members who are affected by these diseases, and that traps families in cycles of poverty. And so through the REACH campaign, we are trying to address and eliminate these diseases, but also really address everything that affects these families through and their communities when they are affected by these diseases. Our campaign this year, 50 Days to Transform 5 Million Lives, is aimed at transforming the lives of 5 million lives, providing treatment to families in 7 countries in sub-Saharan Africa and the Middle East. And we hope through the work of this campaign and the support of our partners and people like yourselves who are talking about this and raising awareness about this, we can really be that much closer to the elimination of these diseases.
That's amazing. As you said, Tala, there are lots of effects of those diseases on the individual, the family, the community, and the economy as a whole. And I do believe if the COVID has taught us something, it's resilience, and that we're all vulnerable. This can happen to any one of us, and we have to stand up for each other. Basically, I'm going to share with you a story that has to do with your cause. Rafiqal from Bangladesh. Years back, we supported an NGO in Bangladesh. What happens there is that children flee from their villages to go to the city of Dhaka, basically in hope of getting a better future or in hope of getting food and some money. So children go there, and what they do end up doing is cleaning cars, washing windows, carrying luggages, getting exploited, and much more. Rafiqal was one of the lucky ones who went to the NGO that SMALLWORLD supported. And the moment he arrived, he had skin disease. You mentioned river blindness and disease. It all comes from the same unhygiene areas where sometimes even if you bathe in river water, this could happen to you, and this happened to him. So of course you can't introduce education, because when somebody has lots of issues and somebody has like skin disease, you have to first make sure that they're okay, they're healthy before you introduce them to education. They did that, they did awareness seminars, and you'll be surprised of how many children were introduced to how they need to use clean water to drink, how they cannot bathe in river water, all these simple things that we think that they're just everywhere. They're everywhere. It's not. Many people are not aware of how important this is, how important hygiene is. To cut the story short, after him recovering, he was introduced to mathematics, and the moment he started knowing how to calculate, he calculated how much it would cost him to create a tea stall, and he started his business creating a tea stall. And a 14-year-old, you would think maybe he should be in school, but at this time, better than him being in the streets, he actually created a future for himself, and he could provide for his family. So this is amazing. What you're doing is great. It could help so many families be together, stay together, and many parents keep their children in school and provide for their families, for them not to be separated. So it's amazing.
Thank you so much, Salam. And we also hear a lot of really incredible stories from the field on people who've received treatment or just have been provided with the right kind of training and techniques to be able to be safe from these types of diseases that are preventable. But unfortunately, we take a lot of our privileges for granted in many of these impoverished communities, as you mentioned. Something as simple as clean water is not as easy to access. We also, from the field work, know of Moche. Moche is from the southwest Mali, and one of the countries that we target through the work of our campaign and reaching the last mile fund. Unfortunately, Moche is a grandfather, and he contracted river blindness over 30 years ago. He eventually lost his eyesight because of river blindness. However, his entire family now receive treatment for river blindness, preventable treatment. And so for him, when we've spoken to Moche and his family, the feeling of hope that the next generation can be freed from this disease, and hopefully once we are able to eliminate these diseases from the countries that we're targeting, the future generations don't have to worry about contracting these diseases and the debilitating effects of these diseases.
There are treatments, so a person can be treated. There is hope for the person. Could you tell us more about this? Because I think everyone is interested in knowing the hope factor. How can those people get out of this, and how maybe countries can overcome this big issue?
For us, the biggest hope is that we can eliminate these diseases so that the future generation doesn't have to worry about the debilitating effects of these diseases, and don't have to be trapped in cycles of poverty because a child has to get out of school to take care of a family member, or a wife has to stop, work because she has to care for her significant other or her children who have contracted these diseases. When we think about the number of people who have been impacted by these diseases or are at threat of being impacted, you have for river blindness over 200 million people, primarily in Africa, who are in need of treatment for river blindness. And then another 850 or so million people that are at risk or need treatment for lymphatic filariasis. So if we think about the future and about how we can transform hundreds of millions of lives by eliminating these two diseases, we can really create a future that is healthier, prosperous, and dignified for everyone. Yeah.
Amazing. So what's our call for action here? Right now, I think we cannot say post-pandemic. I hope we can say that soon. But right now, with all what's happening, with how vulnerable we have come to be and how resilient we found ourselves to be, what can we do, and what can the people do to support this cause that needs us all to stand up and support those people who have hope in having a normal life one day?
Obviously, awareness is important, and thank you again, Salam, for using your platform and allowing us to speak about this. But I think action is also equally important. We have many organizations that have contributed financially to the REACH campaign, and we continue to receive funds or financial commitments from potential sponsors or partners. We would love to have any kind of discussions with organizations who might be interested in this cause. But even as individuals, you can still contribute. When we first launched this campaign in 2019, the campaign's mission or slogan was give two to save two. So give 2 dirhams to save 2 eyes. 2 dirhams is the cost of the treatment required.
How can people send those 2 dirhams? Because I think this is the most accessible to many.
Yes, so they can send 2 dirhams or any amount that they would like through text message. That's the easiest way. They just have to text give to 2424. So give 2424.
That's so simple.
It's so easy. It's so easy. We try to make it as easy as possible for people to be a part of this campaign. And alternatively, if you don't want to text, you can also reach us on our website at reachtheend.org. And we have a link there where you can also donate through a link directly to the Emirates Red Crescent, who are our strategic partners for this campaign.
It's amazing, Tala. I hope you get all the funds that this cause deserves, because we all need to be there for each other now more than ever. And this cause deserves all our attention. And I hope that we'll be celebrating the final product, which is supporting millions of people around the world with NTDs.
Inshallah, absolutely. Thank you again, Salam, for your platform and for the incredible work that you do as well through A Small World.
Thank you so much. Creating this cause is amazing, and I applaud all your efforts, all of the team.